Check out Seneca, come take a look around. From library stories to Main Street sounds, neighbors and news where voices connect. Check out Seneca, what's coming up next?
Hello all, and welcome to the first official episode of Check Out Seneca, the Seneca Free Library and Seneca Chamber podcast.
Welcome. We're glad you're here today.
Thank you for coming. If you heard our preview and came back, you're our favorite listeners because we've put a lot of thought into what we're doing. So thank you for sharing with us.
Yeah, and if you didn't hear our intro episode and you stumbled upon this on your own, welcome. We're super glad you're here, and thank you for staying.
We should probably reintroduce ourselves just in case.
Just in case. So I am Kylie Bergstrom, the Executive Director of the Seneca Area Chamber in Downtown Impact.
I'm Kate Haney, the Director of the Seneca Free Library.
I'm Chad Jones. I am the Assistant Director to the Seneca Free Library. I don't think we've ever actually talked about what my title really is.
We just make titles up as we go.
That's for a different
Kylie,
podcast.
what would you like to be called today?
Well, you can call
Queen
me
of Main Street.
Captain Kansas. Today, as I hope most of you listening know, is Kansas Day Eve. We felt that very appropriate for our first official episode to talk about Kansas and talk about Kansas Day.
As we are a very Kansas-centered establishment of the Seneca Library and the Seneca Chamber in Downtown Impact, we are all about the community and making connections, which is kind of what this was about anyway. It was, Kate has informed us, as libraries, we were directed from high that we needed to be doing more collaborative stuff as libraries all across the state. And it just happened that this was an opportunity that we had talked about, and it's like, hey, that would be a collaboration. So we are very happy that you're here.
I am so glad to be here. And it's very appropriate that we are recording this in the Kansas room of the Seneca Free Library.
That is true.
That's exactly right. The Kansas room is not all about Kansas, although you will find a great selection of books in this room that are about Seneca. Most of our genealogy material is in here. We have a cabinet that is full of local histories, names that you would find still in the roster of Seneca citizens, and these have been curated by family members from years gone by, and some of them are very fascinating. We also have our microfilm in here, and we have a computer set up so that you can access the information that's in the Courier newspapers back from the 1800s up until now. So all of those great kind of things can be done in this room.
One of my favorite things is when I get to be a little research bug and search the archives of the Couriers, because you just find some really interesting stuff, especially back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. The way they wrote articles was super interesting and just really cool. So if you've got any history nerd in you at all, and you've never done that, I highly recommend.
Hey, if you even just want a good laugh, sometimes what was
True.
considered news that's in the newspaper just really gives you a good chuckle. But it is fun to look back from our history. It's good to learn from history, and it's great that we have the access to the information that is available.
So, tomorrow is Kansas Day.
It's the day.
The day.
And if you were listening to us in our introduction podcast, you know this is one of Kylie's favorite holidays. So Kylie, Kansas Day. You love it. Why should we?
So I just want to real quick say one thing. I think it's really interesting. I don't know that every state celebrates the day that they became a state. I don't think that that's super common across the U.S. I'm not saying that we're the only ones that do it, because I don't know that for sure. But I do feel like it's a unique thing. So if you don't know what Kansas Day is the anniversary of the day that Kansas became a state. January 29th, which is the day that the president, and it was President James Buchanan who signed Kansas into statehood, but it was that day, January 29th in 1861, that Kansas became a state.
Do you remember which order of state?
We are in state number 34.
34, okay.
Yes. Yeah. And Kansas joined the Union. We became a free state. We joined the Union as a free state. If you don't know your Kansas history, there was quite the kerfuffle about
just a little,
smidge about whether or not Kansas would join as a free state or a slave state. This was all right during the time of the Civil War, but Kansas did join the Union as a free state, and I think that's pretty cool. Kansas has got some really cool history.
You kind of have to look for it.
You do.
Kansas sometimes gets a bad rap about being in the middle of the country and flat as a pancake, a flyover state. Why should we care about it? But Kansas is a great state, and I would challenge you to find sunsets better than you can find in Kansas anywhere. They're amazing. We aren't just flat. In fact, Nemaha Valley suggests that there's some depth here. And in our part of the state, we have some gently rolling hills. You go south and you find the Flint Hills. So we're not just a flat pancake state. We really have some beautiful geography and some very scenic places and beautiful places to visit in the winter, in the summer, all year long.
See, the Nemaha Valley thing always kind of amuses me because when I was growing up here, way back when, the concept of Seneca being in a valley never registered because you only really see the hills on the east side of town. Like, it's really obvious there. But if you get into certain parts of the area, you can actually kind of start seeing the slope. Unless you're actually in town and you're trying to walk up one of these hills that you didn't know was there until you start walking it up, and then you're huffing and puffing. It's like, where did that come from? It's the valley.
Yeah.
That's right. It's the valley.
Yeah. And, I think often, Western Kansas gets a bad rap of being, very, very flat. And while, the eastern and the western sides of our state are very, very different, scenically speaking. But, I always think it's fun that the highest point in Kansas is actually in western. Mount Sunflower.
Mount
is
Sunflower.
located in Wallace County. There's some, beautiful rock formations, chalk rock formations specifically out in western Kansas. Little Jerusalem State Park is out there. It's not the newestly designated state park any longer, but the second to last one that was designated in 2018, if I'm correct. But it's a really, really neat, breathtaking view.
And Kylie doesn't just know these things. She's actually traveled to these places. She is probably the most well-traveled Kansas person that I know. Some of it has been for work. Most of it has just been for curiosity to find out more about our state and what it has to offer. So if you have questions, you should talk to Kylie.
I would be happy to talk with any. I actually have helped several folks here in town come up with their own Kansas adventures. So in addition to going around the state and telling people why they should come visit us here in Seneca, I also, share other fun things that you can visit and see in our state. And
Well, it's kind of always interesting is if you're not from the Seneca area, Seneca is how many people? About
2,100.
2,100. And it's always interesting to me, especially because I actually worked at one of the museums. You have no idea what's in your own backyard or actually your own main street sometimes. As far as historical references and museums, little shops, whatever, that just have some of the neatest things. I know when I started working at, shout out to Pony Express Museum on Main Street, when I worked there for a while, I started that job thinking, okay, what am I getting into? What kind of random collection of stuff is this? And I went in there and I was blown away that this little Seneca museum tucked away in an old storefront is actually set up as a museum you would go to in a bigger city. It actually tells a story as you're walking through it, and it has the setups like this room is this thing and the bedroom and then the kitchen, and it's just really neat how they set it up. And then we also have our historical museums.
Mm-hmm. Seneca is actually home to 4 true museums plus the hand-dug well.
Which is amazing for a city our size.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a great war museum just full of artifacts from world wars and very interesting information about several of our veterans.
One of the things that I always think is the neatest about our military museum is that they have artifacts from the Civil War. And Kansas was a part of Civil War history, but sometimes seems like we're further removed from it than we are. And so the fact that our museum here has, artifacts from the Civil War dating through current.
Fascinating collection of museums for a city this size. So, hey, the next time you need something to do, come to Seneca and check out a museum. We will be talking later in the year about Museum Fest, so you want to stay tuned for that one. And
Yes.
you'll learn more about the museums and how you have a chance to visit all of them.
And I'm going to put in a plug that you should save the date. That'll be Saturday, June 13th.
Exactly. Save the date because it'll be fun right here on Main Street.
And adjacent streets to Main Street.
Exactly. All over town.
And more importantly, free. Like, you can give donations to help out, but like,
Yeah.
these are things that you can do with your family that don't cost anything. And you actually, there's enough stuff in the museums, you can spend like the whole day going through all of them. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially if you're getting a guided tour, because the folks who volunteer in our museums are so knowledgeable about so much. I mean, the museums, all of them do, I feel like, a great job of having written information that you can, lead yourself around the museum and learn on your own. But if you have the time and the interest to listen to one of these volunteers, they just have so much knowledge and anecdotes to share that you get a little bit different glimpse of things that I think is really cool.
Main Street also has set up a self-guided tour with placards on many of our historical buildings. You can follow them and go at your own pace. You can read about these great buildings and their importance or significance to the city of Seneca in its lifetime. So you can check those out on the front of the building. There's one on the library, one on the post office, and it just goes all on down Main Street.
Yeah, and out front, not that you need a map to follow them, but if you'd like one, there are maps available in the chamber office, or there's a little black mailbox right outside the chamber office that you can grab a map. And
I was going to ask if those were still there.
yep, they're still there. I actually checked them this morning.
Oh, good.
And
So there's a supply.
So there is a supply. I think that's super fun. Like, we can talk about Seneca's importance in the history here, but also know that like all of the other towns around us also have this type of history, and you can look into that type of thing. And that's a great way to celebrate Kansas Day. Like, I would obviously encourage you to come explore Seneca, but there's a world of stories out there, I think, as a former summer reading theme said.
There's much to see and do in the state of Kansas. We encourage you to spend some more time in our state and in Seneca.
So, Kylie, do you have any fast facts about Kansas history?
About the Sunflower State?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to go through a few that I hope everybody knows. Our state bird is the western meadowlark. Our state tree is the eastern cottonwood. Our state mammal is the American bison. Our state reptile is the ornate box turtle. But one that maybe not everybody knows is we now have a state fruit. The sandhill plum is the state fruit of the state of Kansas, and that was designated most recently in 2022.
So I always forget that we don't have videos. So I'm like, the reaction was my head snapped back. Like, what?
Our eyeballs popped out of our sockets.
And I'm not sure where we can acquire some sand plum jelly or something to that effect, but I will be on the hunt now.
Great. If you find it, let us know. Yeah. We'd be happy to taste and report to you listeners.
Taste tests are always a thing that we are much willing to do here at the library.
And
it's really really a little known service that we provide, but we are taste testers, so keep that in mind when you get ready for 4-H or a holiday and you want to try a new recipe in your family. We're willing to give feedback.
And I feel a little remiss that I didn't think to bring some Kansas dirt cake for us to share. Maybe I will bring that to the library on Kansas Day.
That might be good. Probably better off the mics because nobody wants to hear somebody eating on them.
That's very true. That's very true. Well, we really appreciate you spending this time with us here today, and we hope you learned something and maybe had some fun along the way.
And we really hope that you tune in a couple weeks to listen to our next podcast. We will try to have it ready for you on the second Wednesday of February.
That's right. Yep. Our goal is to have new episodes come out the second and fourth Wednesdays of every month.
This is where I'm just like nodding and smiling. I'm like,
Chad is
yeah.
with us. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
So get out and explore Kansas tomorrow and have yourself a wonderful Kansas Day.
Or have yourself a little dirt cake and put a candle in it. Sing Happy Birthday to Kansas.
That's right. Or sing Home on the Range.
Even better.
Which is our state song.
And if the weather's nice, come down to the library and you can play Home on the Range in our music garden.
Oh, there you go. I love that.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.